Will the Hart School please behave themselves? President Harrison, regents, trustees, faculty, ladies and gentlemen, and all you in the $250,000 seats. I know I speak for all the honorees when I thank you for the great honor that you have done us. We're extremely grateful. You'll be getting your diploma soon. Mine is bigger than yours. But all the same, yours is going to say what mine says, that conferred upon you are all the honors, privileges, and obligations of this great university. So I asked President Harrison exactly what those honors and obligations were. He said, well, basically, it gives you the right to move back in with your parents tomorrow. Good luck with that, my darlings. Now, my task today is twofold. I have to congratulate you, and I have to give you advice. The latter duty is a complete waste of time. You've spent most of your lives being advised by tedious grown-ups, but this is a rite of passage, and you have to sit there for 10 minutes, and I have to bore you. So we're going to do it, okay? You'll forget everything I've told you 3 hours from now, because that's one effect of alcohol. But first, the easy part. The easy part is to congratulate you. Now, I am a novelist, which means I make things up. So I speak with unimpeachable authority when I say that this 136 graduation class is by far the most brilliant, by a long way the best looking, the most elegant, the most wonderful, and by far the sexiest class ever. And the most modest ever to congratulate from the University of Hartford. Ladies and gentlemen, be proud of them and join me in congratulating them. Well done. Now, well done, you lot, but that was the easy part. Here comes the difficult part, because I have to give you advice. And I'm in a quandary. How specific should that advice be? After all, your mothers have already told you everything you need to know. What can I add? Now, it would be easy enough to tell you a great truth, like a life lived without love is no life at all. But that's just meaningless advice. It will melt into the background like so much advice. You don't believe me? One piece of advice is so important, so life-changing, that the government actually mandates that it be printed on hundreds of consumer objects, and yet none of you can think what it is. You've seen it 1,000 times and you've ignored it. You don't believe me? Look at a bottle of aspirin tonight. Keep away from children. So much advice falls into that category of keep away from children. So is a life lived without love. So I thought I will be specific. And I'm going to begin by talking to the girls. And you're going to have to forgive me, all of you, if my examples are hetero. If your tastes are otherwise, you're bright enough to adapt the advice. So just listen. We are going to begin with Charles Darwin. Now, for those who are graduating from the Hart School, you need to know that Charles Darwin is a dead white European male. He had a beard. He did some interesting work in biology that basically has pissed off everybody south of the Mason-Dixon line ever since. And that's more or less all you need to know. But we're not concerned with his biological work today. We're concerned with the fact that when he was a very young man, he wanted to get married. And he made two lists. One list was the things in favor of marriage, and the other list was against marriage. And one of the things he put down in favor of marriage was companionship better than a dog. Now listen, I have a wife and a dog. No, we're not going to go there. We're not going to go there. The dog never tells me to take out the garbage. So, my darlings, be better than a dog. Now, guys, you're not getting away with this. To you, I would quote Honoré de Balzac. Those of you who are graduating in science need to know that Honoré de Balzac was a French novelist, realist, 19th century. That's about all you need to know. If he comes up in conversation, you say, oh my God, French realist, so boring, and you've won. But he did say one very wise thing. He said, whenever I see a man embracing a woman, I am reminded of an orangutan trying to play the violin. I see the shock of recognition on some girls' faces. So guys, please remember a violin is a beautiful thing. It's a lovely shape. Played with skill, it makes gorgeous noises. Now, our third piece of advice is also general, but I will call in aid here Friedrich Schiller. You don't need to know anything about him. He's a poet. He's another. I'm sorry they're all dead white European males. I know that's politically incorrect for me, but one day I'm going to be one of them, so I feel a certain kinship. Friedrich Schiller said, against stupidity, the gods themselves struggle in vain, which is my cue to tell you, don't be stupid. Now, that is so general as to be utterly meaningless. Driving while you're drunk is stupid, but you knew that already. So again, I shall try to illustrate the general from the particular. I hope that some of you know of the Darwin Awards. The Darwin Awards are awarded posthumously to those human beings who do the human race a favor by taking their genes out of it. Playing Russian roulette with only one empty chamber will get you the Darwin Award, and it has. So I want to tell you about a German zookeeper named Friedrich Reisfeld, who came from Paderborn in Germany. And in his charge was a full-grown elephant of which he was fond, and the elephant was called Stefan. You need to know that. Our story begins when Stefan tragically was constipated. Herr Reisfeld, who was fond of Stefan, administered 22 doses of animal laxative and fed the animal over a bushel of prunes. Sad to say, nothing worked. So finally, despairing of the elephant's state, he decided to administer an enema. This is educational. Now, I don't know how many of you have administered an enema to an elephant. But if it should ever arise, you need to know that a full-grown Indian elephant can produce 200 pounds of you-know-what in any one go. And with the assistance of a bushel of prunes and 22 animal laxatives, it can probably do better than that. Herr Reisfeld must have known this, but he went ahead anyway. And the good news is that the procedure worked and Stefan was relieved. The bad news is that the force of the relief knocked Herr Reisfeld backwards and he stunned himself on the floor and then suffocated with pachydermic poop. So when you're tempted to mix the car keys and whiskey, remember Stefan. I'm almost done, my darlings. Now some serious advice. It's this: think for yourselves. That sounds easy. But if you go away with one thing today, I would ask you to do that. Consider for a moment things which have been believed in the past. Astrology was reckoned to control our fate. Some people still believe that. In the 12th century, it was firmly believed that eating celery would kill you. In the 16th century, tomatoes were poisonous. We all know what trouble Galileo incurred for daring to suggest that the earth went round the sun. Murillo, the painter, was imprisoned by the Inquisition for daring to suggest that the Virgin Mary had toes. In 1918, Popenoe and Johnson wrote in their best-selling and wildly successful book, Applied Eugenics, that educating girls at university is tending towards race suicide. Why? Because many a college girl of the finest innate qualities who sincerely desires to enter matrimony is unable to find a husband simply because she's been rendered so cold and unattractive so overstuffed intellectually and starved emotionally that a typical man doesn't desire to spend the rest of his life in her company. It's a pity some of you girls weren't told that 4 years ago. That was believed within the lifetime of some people here. And if you think that eugenics was some stupid crank, then remember that in 1927, the Supreme Court of the United States, by a vote of 8-1, reckoned that the forced sterilization of the mentally subnormal was constitutional. All these ideas, many far more reprehensible, many more stupid, were honestly held by our forebears. My point here is you need to think for yourself, to examine the prejudices and the ideas. Men didn't burn women at the stake for witches because men were innately evil. They did it because they thought they were doing good. They were wrong. Not every slave driver was Simon Legree. Many of them were decent, honest Christian people. And they would plead at history's bar that they were only accepting the ideas of their time. But they're wrong, because there were people who spoke against it and they didn't listen. Your job is to listen and think for yourselves. If you take an idea off the shelf, whether it's a political belief or a religious dogma, and you do not examine it, then when you come to depend upon it, it will crumble. A dead white European male put it much better than I can. Unto thine own self be true, and it shall follow as the night the day. Thou canst not then be false to any man. So there you have it, my darlings. Keep away from children. Be better than dogs. Remember that violins make a lovely noise. Take enormous care when administering an enema to an elephant. And think for yourselves. You lot are fortunate. You've been educated in one of the finest universities of the most blessed country on God's earth. What Abraham Lincoln called rightly the last best hope of mankind. You're off on your own now. Everybody in this assembly wishes you happiness because it's better than misery. We wish you health because it's better than sickness. We wish you success because it's better than failure. Above all, we would wish you love because without it, life is stale, dull, and unprofitable. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the best looking, the most intelligent, the sexiest class ever to graduate from the University of Hartford.